morning, everyone. My name is Maria Aielli. I am a literacy specialist for Project Ready. I am joined by my wonderful colleague, Rosie Warburg, who is one of the creators of Project Ready's curriculum. And Dr. Amy Murdoch is not on this call today, but if you have any questions, we can always forward those along to her as well. So today we are going to be talking about Alphabetics, which is one of our small group routines. If you have been to any of the other webinars so far, you know that there are a lot of different components of the Project Ready curriculum, which is called the Joyful Discoveries curriculum. And today we're just going to be talking about Alphabetics. So we'll do a quick overview. We'll talk about how phonological awareness progresses through this small group. We'll talk about what a typical lesson outline looks like, how the lessons progress, what criteria for mastery looks like in preschool. We'll talk about some interventions for students who struggle, and also the materials where we can find all of those. So like I said before, Alphabetics is just one piece of this curriculum, and you'll see it right here down under small groups. Alphabetics is not connected to a theme. So this is done only in small groups, not connected to the themes that are presented in whole group. And it follows a structured, scripted set of lessons. Okay, so we're really focusing on developing phonological awareness, letter recognition, starting to expose our students to letter sound knowledge, and really focusing on doing all of this in a fun, engaging, interactive way that keeps students really interested and meets them where they are. So let's continue on. So what we have here is a picture of the books. So we have all of these materials available for you on readingscience.org for free to download. We bind ours in a book just because we found that this was most helpful for us to keep track of everything, but you can also just put the pages in a binder. It does work like a flip book. So when you open it, one side is for the teacher to read and the other side is for the students to look at. And I see a raised hand. We already have questions. That's great. I'm going to keep talking while, actually, how do I answer your raised hand is a great question. Rosie, if you can help me out with that, great. Oh, wait, here, allowed to talk. Hello, Ellie. What is your question? I am not hearing
see a
anything.
question in the question and answer. It says, I cannot see anything on your screen.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Maria, I'm able to see what's on your screen.
Do you want me to stop sharing and share again and see if that helps?
Yeah, maybe give that a try.
Okay, we'll go ahead and pause this. All right. Share screen. Share. Okay, I am sharing on my end.
How about now, Ellie? Can you see what's on her screen now?
Okay, if there's any issues with that, we can always send it to you after as well.
Perfect. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we have another participant who said I can see your presentation.
Okay.
So Ellie,
Okay.
it might be in your view. If you want to click the little grid with the 9 dots and try a different view, you might be able to see a little bit better that way.
Sorry about that, Ellie. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep going. So again, Alphabetics is done in a small group, and the students should be grouped according to skill level. So for our purposes, we use the Preschool Early Literacy Indicator Assessment, PELI, and that's how we kind of determine how to group our students. So you should always look at some data before you group your students. These groups are not a permanent grouping for the entire year. They should be fluid. We know at this age that students progress at very different speeds. So it's okay. You can switch your groups around as much as needed to meet the needs of the students. Just keep students who are working on the same skills in the same group as much as possible. Like I said before, each lesson follows a structured, scripted set of routines. So what we found in the past was that we needed to provide a little bit more guidance to our teachers. So we do have scripting in each lesson. It is not something that you have to follow. It's just a recommendation to make sure that you have the correct wording if you're not used to teaching in this type of way, okay? Each of the lessons include work on phonological awareness, letter recognition, letter sound knowledge, And then we also include reviews of previously learned material, and we work on letter formation. All right. So the Alphabetics group is designed to teach critical foundational skills to support that reading readiness. We are not expecting preschoolers to start reading. Okay, this is just kind of getting them ready for what's to come in kindergarten. We want to make sure that our students are meeting in small groups 3 to 5 times per week. We know that every preschool looks different. So some preschools only meet a couple times per week, and some preschools meet every day. So it's really going to depend on your program and how things are set up. But the kind of rule of thumb that we follow is that children who have less skills and need more support should be meeting more frequently. So if I'm in school 5 days a week, I want to make sure that I'm pulling them 4 or 5 times per week to make sure I'm working with them to give them the instruction that they need. My students who are in the higher groups who have, come into preschool with more skills, I do not need to pull them 4 to 5 times per week. Okay, you can back that up. Okay. Again, we want to make sure we're putting all of our students together with similar groupings, similar skill levels. And we use Peli to determine these groupings, but you do not have to use Peli. You can use whatever assessment works for you. This whole small group should take about 15 minutes. It should not take longer than 15 minutes. You'll see in an example lesson that I'm going to share in just a little bit, my full lesson was 12 minutes. So really between 10 and 15 minutes is enough time to incorporate all of these components. So the first thing I want to talk about is phonological awareness and how this kind of fits into the whole Alphabetics routine. A scope and sequence was developed using research, and they came up with, and this was not me, this was other members of the team, came up with 4 levels of PA instruction. So everyone starts at level 1, which is not really PA yet. It's kind of an introduction to phonological awareness to get students really used to being called into a small group to work with a teacher. We know that a lot of your students are coming into a classroom for the first time. It's challenging to get 3 and 4-year-olds to sit for 15 minutes and engage in really great instruction. So we start students at level 1, which is an intro to phonological awareness, so we can get them used to the vocabulary that we'll be using, the expectations that we have in small group, so we can get them used to transitioning between a center activity and then coming to work in small group with a teacher. And this also just provides, just like a 5-minute small group experience for all of the students to get ready for the full Alphabetics lesson. Then we move into level 2, 3, and 4, and these increase in complexity. So we're going to start at level 2 with blending and segmenting our compound words, working on syllables, and then you can see as it progresses through level 3, we're then segmenting and isolating and blending onset and rhyme and identifying words that rhyme. And then finally, our most complex phonological awareness skill, we're going to be working on phoneme isolation and then blending phonemes and segmenting syllables. So these levels are built into each book. So when you are like, oh, I want to print out Alphabetics book number 1, the phonological awareness activities progress with the lessons. So we're going to start with the most simple and move to the more complex skills as you progress through each lesson. So an overview of what a lesson looks like. So this is the intro lesson for every new letter. We start with our phonological awareness activity. We always start with a name activity because we know preschoolers need to know how to work with their names and recognize their names. Then we do a short PA game, so phonological awareness game. This number 1 should take about 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes to get through phonological awareness. Then we immediately introduce our new letter. And oftentimes the PA game is going to include the target sound that we're going to be working on that day. So in our lessons, we always start by showing a familiar picture before introducing a letter. So we move from a picture to the sound, and I will show you how that works. We also read a poem. Dr. Murdoch has, I believe it was her niece who created some really awesome letter poems that provide an opportunity for students to listen to some great vocabulary and learn all about the letters. And then we're going to look at some more target pictures with the same initial sounds, and then do some practice of proper letter formation of that new letter. So that's step number 2. And then we do a review of known letters. Now, the first lesson isn't going to have a review in it, but as you progress through the lessons, you will also be able to incorporate this review section. So for the review section, we are going to review 2 previously taught letters. So letters that they've already learned. We're going to briefly review the name of the letter, the sound the letter makes, and how we form that letter. And then we play a review game with all 3 letters together. And these review games change slightly throughout the lessons. And then the last step of the lesson is to make all of the letters. We want to practice forming them. And this is not paper pencil, definitely not right away. We use a lot of playful materials that I will show you. So breaking each step of this lesson down just into more detail, we start with phonological awareness. So we have manipulatives that we use. This is Daisy Dog up here. She is a puppet that the kids love, and we just use Daisy Dog to talk about a lot of the words. Yes, Rosie. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
So
you're good.
we have a question here that I knew was going to come up. How did you decide on the order of presentation of letters? Would you like to explain that, or would you like me to explain that?
I'll try, and then if you have another suggestion, that's fine. I'm sorry, I didn't even talk about that. Yes, thank you for noticing. So our letter order, man, I love that question because I know everybody has it. This was a collaborative effort between a lot of different members of the team. We have people who have worked on this curriculum who are experts in writing, experts in phonological awareness, experts in, I'm trying to think of what else.
Some speech language pathologists.
Speech language, thank you. So we have all these brains coming together and trying to figure out, what's the best way to present these letters. And this is what they came up with, because we know from research, there is no exact right order to introduce our letters in. So we don't have, that guide. So this is what the people on the team came up with as the letter order. Rosie, is there anything you want to add to that?
Absolutely. So I think I'm just going to add, if that's okay, that, some of the things that we considered when we were creating this order, like Maria said, there really is no definitive answer to the correct order to introduce letters. So we looked at simplicity of forming the letters. So when they get into the handwriting piece, we looked at simplicity of making the sounds of the letters in your mouth. We tried to group the letters so that we didn't have really similar looking letters together, introduced closely together. There were lots of things that we considered when we were putting it together.
Thank you, Rosie. Were there any other questions that I should address now? Are we good?
Not that I see.
Perfect. Okay, so here is just a little intro to phonological awareness. So in your book, when you're doing, if you have it in a book form or if you have it in a binder, you're going to flip, and the first thing you're going to see, or the first thing the students are going to see, is the My Name Is page. And this is where you'll have little name cards with every student's name, and you're going to put their name here, and you will talk through the lesson. I know you cannot read this. I have the actual book in here as well. Then we go into introducing a new letter. We always start with the target picture. So we say, this is a tiger. I hear the t sound at the beginning of tiger, tiger, and I write the t sound with the letter T. Okay, so we're always moving from familiar to unfamiliar. We also explore additional pictures that contain that target sound and practice our proper letter formation. And then we do a review of some previously learned letters. We quickly review using our target picture, talking about the letter and practicing forming the letter. We have a lot of different materials. This is just a picture of wiki sticks we use when we form our letters. And they're just bendable wax sticks, and they kind of stick together and stick to the table. So it's something fun for preschoolers to use that is not paper pencil. Okay, so we're going to start with more fun, tangible activities first. And then down this picture at the bottom is just a picture of our glitter letters. So when students are learning how to form the letters, they trace the glitter letters. And these are available to download and make as well on the website.
Maria, do you mind if I add something to that?
Please do, yes.
So one thing that I think is really helpful with the letter formation piece here, Maria has included our what's the word, the script for helping students to know how to form the letters. So we had some writing experts working really closely with us on good wording to use to help students remember how to form the letters. And that's written into these books for you so that you don't have to think about it with your students. So for example, T is pull down, pull across, pull down, pull across. So really simple wording that you can use to help students remember the formation of the letters. And it's all included in there for you. And we do have another question. So let me take a look at that. It says, why do you use the dashed lines for tracing? I've read research that suggests it's better to use a continuous line. Oh, that's a great point.
Great question.
Yeah, great question. So
Wow.
I've been looking at that a little bit as well. And I think, and I might be misinterpreting it or I might be misunderstanding it, but I think we are doing this with the students right in front of the teacher. And the teacher is there to correct and to help reinforce the formation and the skills. I think when you see that the dashed lines aren't helpful, my thought and my understanding from the research is that that is more when students are tracing those dashed lines on their own, where they're not getting that corrective feedback from the teacher right away. The dashed lines can be a little bit trickier for them to form, where they're kind of almost drawing the connection between the lines a little bit more than forming the letters correctly. But in this program, they've got a teacher right there providing that corrective feedback with them.
And I would also like to add that they're not actually writing. So they're not using those dashed lines to trace. They're just, they're actually using the glitter letters to trace those. So they, this is a teacher model. So they use a model in the book. Actually, you'll see, I can show you in the book here. The teacher model is the dashed line, and then the students trace the glitter letters. So I'm just trying to find the big one. So this is the teacher's book, and she's going to show how to do it on the book. And then the students have the cards in front of them, and they say the words pull down, pull across, T, pull down, pull across, T. Okay. So that is a little bit different. All right. Okay, so we're going to walk through this lesson. So we start with our name activity, and this is an example of the scripting that is included in the book. And I just kind of want to walk through the components here. And again, I know this is not the easiest to read. It is all online. So if you're like, oh, I want to just download that and look at this, go for it. Readingscience.org, you can kind of get all of this on your desktop right away. So at the beginning of the lesson, you're going to see the materials that you need up here in this yellow box, and also an overview of what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be introducing a new letter A. I'm going to be reviewing letters C and M. The review game is the letter sort, and we're going to be making the letters using our magic paintbrush. And a magic paintbrush is just a paintbrush with invisible paint. We just pretend, which is fun. And then at the top, we'll also for each page kind of have what you need to walk through this portion of the lesson. So the materials, the My Name Is page and name cards with children's names. And then you're also going to have to sing a song. Then we're going to have the outline of the activity. So anything in quotation marks is language for you to use. So today we're going to practice clapping our names, one clap for each part. You're going to always explain, model, and then practice. Okay, so we really want to be explicit with our instruction. We're going to tell them what we're doing, model exactly how we want it done, and then give time to practice. This box down, or this oval down here, is the error correction procedure. We really want to focus on students being successful in this small group. If students do not do something correctly, we want to provide that corrective feedback immediately and provide the support they need to get the right words and sounds and language and clapping in their body immediately. So for this first part, it just kind of walks you through, if I have a student who is not able to clap out the syllables in their name, what do I do? So provide hand-over-hand support. You will find an example of this when we watch the video, just to get them practicing the right way, right? We don't want students to practice incorrectly. And Rosie, feel free to jump in if there's ever anything I'm missing, okay?
You're doing great, thanks.
All right, so the next part is playing our phonological awareness game. So we just did our name activity, now we're gonna play a game. Again, we have this box over here that gives us the information about what we're working on this lesson, the error correction procedure for this portion of the lesson, and then this apple is new. So anytime you see this apple icon, it gives you ideas of how you can reinforce this in the classroom. So we know this small group instructional time is only, 10 to 15 minutes out of the day. But how can I incorporate phonological awareness or wordplay throughout my day? So this little apple gives you an advice of how you can incorporate that. So for this one, we're working on blending syllables. So if I'm calling students to the carpet, I can say, please come sit on the carpet. And then I can have them say carpet. They're blending syllables together, and then call them to the carpet that way. Little things that we can do that just kind of get them thinking about words and playing with words throughout the day. Then we introduce our new letter using a target word. This is scripted for you as well. We're going to point to the apple. This is an apple. Everyone say apple. Good. Apple starts with the ah sound. Ah, apple. Everyone say ah. We really want to get the students to say the name and the sound as much as possible, with a focus really on mastering the letter name in preschool. After we introduce that, so we just use the target picture first, and then we talk about the letter. So we say, all right, so this is the A. We write the A sound like this, A, and we show them how to write the letter A. We really want to make students say the A as much as possible. So they should be saying the letter A so many times throughout this lesson, they're constantly saying it. Okay, so there's no way they're going to forget, right? Then we have the poem here that we can read to the students and get them to listen for every time I say A. So every time I say A, I want you to raise your hand high in the air. So get them to listen and think about the words that we're saying. We also want to draw our attention to the forms of the letters. Oh, let's look at these letters. Are they the same or are they different? Letter A is different. The capital A looks different from the lowercase a, but we call them both A. Okay, so we're going to draw attention to the form of the letters, the sound the letter makes, the name of the letter. We're going to read the poem, and we're going to also talk about what our mouth does when we make that sound. Okay? Yes, Rosie.
Maria, we do have another question. I
Great.
think you just answered it. Do you introduce the capital and lowercase at the same time?
We do. We introduce them both at the same time. Yes, so we're introducing capital and lowercase together. And we're really focusing on saying, they look different, but they're both called A. All right, and we're going to practice using both of these in our review games. Then we're going to just explore the letter some more. We're going to look at some more target pictures and talk through, oh, an alligator. I hear the an alligator, an astronaut, okay? So just giving them more exposure to that sound, giving them more chances to say letter A. Then we're going to focus on forming that letter. So again, you pull out your letter cards from your kit, and of course, you might have, sandpaper letters or something else that you're using in your classroom. Absolutely use those, but if you don't, a really great way to make these tactile letters is using like your die cut machine and some glitter paper or just textured paper. That's how we did it to be more cost effective. So we're going to pass out these cards to every student. So as I'm introducing the letter formation, I'm saying the words that need to be said and then having them trace it. And I'm right there with them, and I'm watching, and I'm having them model for me. I'm watching and giving them any feedback that they need immediately. And again, as they're tracing, we want to make sure they're saying that letter name as much as possible. Then the next step is they're going to review that new letter with 2 letters they previously learned. So in this lesson, we're talking about letter A, but previously we have learned C and M. So I'm going to briefly introduce that again. I'm going to say this is a cat. It starts with the K sound. We write the K sound with the letter C. This is how we write the C, okay? So I'm going to do that with each of my review letters and then play a quick game to kind of review them all together. Now, these games do change slightly throughout the lessons just to keep students engaged and interested in doing something new. But one of the most common letter review games we have is like a letter sort. So I spy with my little eye the letter A, and then, oh, can you find the letter A and put it where it goes? Okay, so there's a lot of different games that get students to engage with 3 letters at a time. So, we just learned A, but can they distinguish a capital A from a lowercase a? Can they pick out an A over a C? Can they figure out which one's which? Okay, so this part of the lesson is where I can really start tracking mastery. Can they identify and name the letters that I've taught? Okay, so up until this point, I'm really prompting them and saying, hey, this is letter A. What letter is it? A. So that doesn't tell me if they've mastered it yet. So it's really when they're in control of identifying the letter is when I want to start saying, oh, they're getting it. We're good. Okay. And then the last step is to make the letters. So we're going to really focus on that new letter and forming that new letter using a variety of different materials. And each lesson, we're just going to pick one material to use, but we're also going to, if we have time, also form those review letters as well. So in this picture here, you'll see some students using wiki sticks to form the capital T. We also use monkey noodles, which are like stretchy strings. We incorporate doodle boards. We've done chalkboards, dry erase markers. We've used paint and then paper pencil. So we just try and really keep them engaged and interested in forming these letters. And just as a little final wrap up, we review what we learned today, and then that is the end of the lesson. So any questions? I'm going to actually let you watch a video of a 12-minute lesson next, but before I do that, do you have any questions about this, any portion of what we've just reviewed?
I don't see any questions yet, but Maria, I had a question for you because
Sure.
I know this was something that we were kind of switching in our alphabetics here. When you talk about the different materials for making the letters, is that a choice that the teacher has, or is that kind of in the book for them?
It is built into the book. So everything, we really tried to eliminate as much teacher planning as necessary, because what we found was, Rosie, I'm talking to you, but yeah, what we found, Rosie, was that it was too many decisions, right? Like preschool teachers are so busy. So we're like, how can we help them out to take away some of the guesswork at what should I do today? What do I need to prepare today? So everything is scripted in the lessons. And when we kind of decided what materials to use, we started with bigger materials that were manipulated and moved into kind of the paper pencil tasks. So we really are thinking, okay, in the beginning of the year, preschoolers are probably going to have a difficult time holding a small pencil or a marker. So I really want to start with the wiki sticks and the monkey noodles, where they're really just building the letters instead of working on actually writing the letters.
So
those progress as well.
Thank you, Maria. We do have another question. This one is another capital and lowercase question. Do we ever separate the capital from lowercase? Meaning some kids know one form of the letter, either capital or lowercase, but they're not able to identify the letter when the other one is by itself. So identifying only lowercase a or only capital A.
Great question. Yes. So in our review lessons, which we will talk about after we watch this initial lesson, we separate all the letters out. Okay, so you're going to have a chance to work on just individual letters. So we will come to that in just a little bit. Okay.
Great. I don't
see any other questions. Okay, so let me minimize this from here and just make sure you can, let me know if you cannot hear this. Okay, I think I can.
Yeah. Very good. Let's sing our song. Ready? Clap a friend's name with me, name with me, name with me. Clap a friend's name with me. Her name is Maria. Let's clap it. Ready? Maria. Good. Say good morning. Good morning. Okay, let's do our next friend. Whose name is this? Ivan. You ready? Let's sing our song together. Clap a friend's name with me, name with me, name with me. Clap a friend's name with me, and his name is Ivan. Let's clap it. Ready? Let me see your hands. Ivan. Can you clap it? Ivan. Good. How many parts are in Ivan? Two. Ivan. Good. Let's read our sentence. My name is Ivan. Good. We have a capital and a period. That's our sentence. Good job, Ivan. There's your name. Let's do another one. Whose name is this?
Me.
What is your name?
Me. Seth.
Seth. Very good, Seth. All right, let's sing our song. Say good morning, Seth. Ready? Clap a friend, name with me, name with me, name with me. Clap a friend, name with me. And his name is
Seth.
Seth. Ready? Clap your name. Seth. Let's try it together. Ready? Seth. Good job. How many parts are in Seth?
One.
One. One part in Seth. Very good. Let's read our sentence. My name is Seth. Good. We have a capital and a period. Last up, we have Olivia. Okay, ready? Let's sing our song. Everyone sing together. Ready? Name with me. Clap a friend. Name with me. Her name is Olivia. Can we clap Olivia? Ready? Olivia. Very good. How many parts in your name, Olivia? 4 parts. Let's read your sentence. My name is Olivia. Very good. We have a capital and a period. You ready to play a game? We're going to count the syllables or the parts in some words. Now, we have some things that we use in our classroom. What is this called?
A white.
A highlighter. Can you say highlighter?
Highlighter.
Good. We use this to mark important things in our books. So highlighter. Let's clap the parts in highlighter. Ready? Hands out. Highlighter. How many parts? Highlighter. 3. So where does this go? Under the 3. Good job. Okay, next one. What is this?
Marker.
It is a tiny short.
Marker.
Seth, that was beautiful. Marker. How many parts are in marker? 2 syllables, so we put it under the 2. Next we have a. Oh, it rolled. That's okay. Next we have a sharpener. Everyone say sharpener. Sharpener. Good. How many parts in sharpener? 3. Sharpener. Can you put it under the 3 for me? Oh, 3. Good job. Next we have paper. Say paper. Let's clap the parts in paper. Paper. Good job, everybody. How many parts in paper? 2. Good job. All right, let's move on. You ready for our next thing? What is this? This is a zebra. Everyone say zebra. Good. I hear the z sound at the beginning of zebra. Very good. It should tickle your tongue. Very good job, zebra. Everyone say z. Beautiful. We write the z sound with the letter Z. We write it like this. Yeah. What letter is this? Everyone say Z. Z. So we have zebra. Z. Olivia, can you say zebra? Z. Very good job. What letter is this, Seth?
It's white and black.
You're right. The zebra is white and black. Can you tell me the name of the letter?
It's the name
Z. Can you say Z, Seth?
It's the name of the zebra.
Zebra starts with a Z sound. Very good. Okay, ready? Listen. Get your listening ears on. Shh. I'm going to read a poem. Anytime you hear Z, when I say Z, you're going to raise your hand high and then put it back down. You ready? Listening ears. Are you ready? Z makes the shape of a sharp lightning bolt. It's bright and it's zippy. It moves with a jolt. Z, raise your hand here, is for zebra. All covered in stripes, they are found at the zoo eating plants of all types. Z makes the sound of a passing by fly, a loud, busy zzz, 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 as the bug buzzes by. Very good. Look at this. This is a zebra, zipper, and a zookeeper. Can you say that with me? Ready? Zebra. Ivan, what is this? Say zebra. Zipper. Can you say zipper? You're right.
A jacket.
It is a jacket. There's a zipper on the jacket. Can you say zipper?
Zipper.
Very good. And can you say zookeeper?
Zookeeper.
Very good job. They all start with the z sound. Say it again. Z. And we write the z like this. And that is the letter Z. What letter is this, everyone?
Z.
Everyone say the letter name. Z. Very good. This is the capital Z and the lowercase z. Do they look the same or different?
No. They look the same.
They are shaped exactly the same. One is bigger and one is smaller, right? But they're both called Z. Very good. Let's say Z 3 times. Ready?
Z,
Z,
Z.
Very good. Oh, look at this. This is how we write the Z, okay? I like writing the Z. It's a fun one. We're going to learn how to make the letter Z. Watch me first. Watch.
Go deeper.
Ready? I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to pull across, slide down, and pull across. You ready? Let's try. It's your turn to make the letter Z. Put your finger at the top, and you're going to pull across, slide down, pull across. And what letter is this?
Z.
Okay, let me see you do it. Ready? Let me see you, Seth. Practice. Ready? Put your finger here. Pull across, slide down, pull across. What letter is that?
Z.
Z. Good. Pull across, slide down, pull across. What letter? Z. Very good, Ivan. Let me see you do it, Olivia. Pull across, slide down, pull across. What letter?
Z.
Oh, beautiful. What letter did we make, everyone?
Z.
What letter is this? Z. What letter? Z. Very nice job. Thank you for the Z cards back. We have learned some other letters. Now, today we talked about the Z. So we have zebra, Z. Yesterday and a long time ago, we learned about the T, which we have tiger,
That's my name.
and T. Very good job. T is in your name. Can you sit up, Olivia, please? Thank you.
And in my name, and 8 in my name.
You're right. We also have H. We have a hippo because in the beginning of hippo we hear. Very good. Hippo. Yeah, and it looks like Fiona. You're right. And this is the letter H.
That's my name.
You do? Oh, cool. So we have letter Z, letter T, and letter H. What letter is this? T. What letter is this?
A lowercase
T. Lowercase t. What letter is this?
Hey.
H. Can you say H? Hold on. Hey, stop. At the end, we can tell your story, okay? Can you hold it? Hold your story till the end. I know. It is a tiger. We have an H and an H. Ready? Let's practice. We're going to play a game. I'm going to play a game called I Spy. Has anyone played Don't touch it. I Spy with my little eye, and then I'm going to describe a letter, and you tell me which one it is, okay? I spy with my, you can't touch it yet. You can't touch it. You touch it when you know the letter. I spy with my little eye a letter named H. Can you find a letter named H? Can you find a letter named H?
No, I go in the
That's not an H, that's a T. Ready? These are our H's. I have my lowercase h and my capital H. What letter is this, Seth? Say H. H. Very good. What letter is this? Ivan? H. No, this one, buddy. H. And what letter is this, Olivia? H. Very good. What letter is this, Seth?
H.
H. What letter is this, Ivan? H. What letter is this? H. Good. Okay. I spy with my little eye a letter that says, which letter says?
Yes.
Seth, very good. What letter is that?
My name.
It's in your name. What's the name of the letter? H. Can everyone say H? H, like in hippo, it makes a sound.
That's
Okay.
my name.
I spy with my little eye a letter that is named Z. Can anyone find the Z? Good job, Seth. Z. Very good. I spy with my little eye a letter named T. Good job, Olivia. Everyone, what is the name of this letter? T. T. Say T. T. What is this? T. What is this? T. Good job. All right, so now we're going to practice making some letters. You ready? What are these called?
Wiki sticks.
Wiki sticks. I know you love wiki sticks. Okay, so let's start with the letter Z. Can you make a letter Z with your wiki stick? I'm going to remind you how to do that.
I made a rainbow.
You made a rainbow. Well, let's start with the letter Z. Here's a Z if you want to trace your card. You can do that. Z, we go pull across, slide down, pull across. What letter is this?
Help me make a Z.
A Z. I would love to help you. So let me show you first. You set it at the top, pull across, slide down, pull across. Oh, it's too small. There you go. Look, we can make it on the desk too. Pull across, slide down, pull across. What letter is that, Seth? I would love to help you. What letter is this, Seth?
E.
Z. Very good. So pull across, slide down, pull across. What letter is that?
Z.
Z. Very good. Ivan, ready? Of course. So keep it here. Pull across, slide down, pull across. What letter did you make? Oh, we got pull across.
H.
Oh, let's look. This is a Z. What letter is this?
Z.
Z. Very good job. What letter is that, Olivia?
Z.
Very good job. All right. So today, what did we learn? Can you look at my picture? Let me hear you buzz like a bee. Let me hear you. Put that tongue behind your teeth. Make it tickle. Very good job. We learned the letter Z. Look at the letter. It's a Z, Olivia. Can you say Z? What letter is this? Good. Ivan, what letter did we learn? Z. What letter did we learn?
Z.
Make it buzz. Z. Very good job. Like in zebra. Fantastic job. Everyone, you are done.
All right, so if you have any questions, go ahead and post those in the chat.
We have one already, Maria.
Great.
Ellie asked, do you do this Alphabetics routine with small groups of 3-year-olds as well as small groups of 4-year-olds?
We do. Yep. All preschoolers. Okay, what are you seeing right now? Sorry, I can't exit out of this.
I see Let's Watch with a YouTube link.
Oh, okay. Yours is different than mine. Perfect. Great. I'm glad you can see it. All right, let me see if I can. Sorry, I'm trying to get back to my presentation. Okay, good. Perfect. Yes, so we use this with all students. Now, the students in the video were not our highest group in that classroom, which is fine, right? So we kind of, the speed at which we present the lessons changes slightly depending on your students. You'll notice those students got a little squirrely towards the end. I wasn't able to practice forming all 3 of the review letters because they just, I really want to keep it less than 15 minutes. So I exposed them to the new letters we reviewed, we practiced formation, we did phonological awareness, all of the components were there, but there is a little bit of wiggle room. If I have a student who cannot sit for 15 minutes yet, I want to still work with them. I still want to get this information to them, but I might adjust how I present the material just slightly to make sure that they're still getting the experience of coming to small groups. Okay, so the link to that video is on here, but you'll just notice that this was not a complete review that you saw. So again, no lesson is perfect, right? The curriculum kind of presents this perfect lesson progression, and as we as educators know that's a pipe dream, right? Like we hope that we get to present everything perfectly, but that was a real life example of just, we're working with preschoolers and we're gonna get all this information to them in a really fun, engaging way. So now we're going to talk about kind of the progression of lessons, because what you just saw was the first lesson. So this was their first time they ever saw the letter Z. So how this is set up is that our first lesson is going to be introducing a new letter. And it goes through all of the components we just saw. That was a full new lesson. Now, what we have built in is some review lessons. So what you're going to know is, one group of students, maybe they only need that one lesson to really know that that's the letter Z, and they're ready to move on to the next letter. But I'm going to have other students who are not ready to move on and need more work. That group of students, I would say, is not ready to move on. And I would want to, when I work with them the next day, move on to a review lesson. So I have 2 lessons built in as review for each letter. So like lesson number 1 is your new introduction, and then 1A is working with that same letter, and 1B is working with that same letter. So the students really have 3 lessons on the same letter if needed. Does not mean you have to do all 3. You just have to do the first one. And Rosie, feel free to jump in if I'm not making sense here, but all students need to get the new letters. They need to get the first lesson. You have the choice to say, I can complete the review for this letter, or I do not have to complete the review for this letter, depending on how your students are performing when you're in that small group with them. What you'll see here is we really want to make sure this is kind of just like placement and lesson progression. All students start with phonological awareness level 1. Remember, that is just PA. We're just working for 5 minutes, getting students used to working in a small group. Then we want to make sure all students get the initial lesson where we're introducing new letters. And in our progression, it's letter T, so everyone will start there. And then we recommend for any first-year preschoolers, 3-year-olds, anybody who needs extra practice, complete all of the lessons. So that includes your review A and your review B. And then we'll also talk about our cumulative practice for all students, which are called the practice and play. But before I get to those, let's walk through a review lesson. So our review lesson A follows the same progression, just with a couple different changes. So in review lesson A, you're still going to have your phonological awareness activity where you work with their names and you do a PA game. These PA games are working on the same skills that they had done in the previous lesson. Okay, so even if you have a group of students that just needs extra PA practice, these review lessons contain those. Then when you introduce the new letter, it's done in the same way. We just take out the poem piece. So you're not going to read the poem anymore. You're just going to be introducing that target sound with the picture, talking about the letter. We're going to show, the additional letter pictures, all the same things we did before. Where it changes is the review. There's a different game here, and we're just focusing on finding the target letter. So if this was the C lesson, we would just be identifying the letter C. And then also in the review lesson A, there is no letter formation practice. So I'm going to just explain this game a little bit more. So when you see this page, it's a letter hunt. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to point to a letter or a picture, because we're going to start distinguishing between pictures and letters and numbers. We want them to distinguish between those things. So if I point to a letter, I want you to say the letter name. And if it's a C, I want you to jump up and down, okay? So we really want to get students engaged in this game. If it's not a C, I want you to stay seated, okay? If I point to, the little girl, you can do a different action. You can really kind of change and make this game your own, but we're just trying to get them to review the letters in a new way. So this is review lesson A. And then review lesson B is also slightly different. So again, we always, every day do the phonological awareness activity, which is the name in the PA game. And then we're going to introduce a new letter. And this time we're taking away the letter formation practice, because students who are doing review lesson B are students who are still really struggling to just name the letter. So I'm taking out that letter formation so we can really just focus on the naming portion and practicing a lot of naming. And then for the letter sort game, you're going to just pull out your glitter letters of the letter C, and then 1 to 3 other letters to mix in, depending on the complexity that your students can handle. If I have students who are really struggling, I'm going to pick the letter C and 1 other letter, and they're going to have to tell me, is it a C or is it something else? And they're going to have to sort the letters. If I have students who don't need as much support, I might pick 2 letters. Okay, so just increase that complexity a little bit for them. So again, this is the review lesson. We're always working on that same letter that was introduced in the first lesson. So we have 3 opportunities to really get that letter name down. So after students have been introduced to 4 new letters, we have built in what is called practice and play lessons. We have 3 practice and play lessons after 4 new letters are introduced. These practice and play lessons are meant to be cumulative review, or like kind of spaced practice, where we incorporate all of the letters they have previously learned by playing games. So the first game for the first lesson is letter statues, where students are going to be presented with a letter card and they have to build the letter using their bodies and saying the name. The second practice and play lesson is a seek and find letters game, where you put letters around your classroom and you tell them to be letter detectives, or tell them they're going on a letter hunt, and you tell them what to find, and then they have to go around the room and find it. And then the third lesson, we do a new game, which is called the beanbag toss letter game. So you print out, they look kind of like tic-tac-toe boards. You can either do 4 letters or 6 letters. And then you're going to separate your capital and lowercase, and you're going to tell the students, give them each a beanbag and say, okay, I want you to toss your beanbag on lowercase a, and they'll toss the beanbag on lowercase a. So again, just getting students to engage with the letters in new and fun, exciting ways, and get them out of their seats as much as possible too, right? So all students are going to do this practice and play, even if you're like, oh, they already know this. Well, we're going to all do it together, okay? So how do I know when students have mastered a letter? So what we want to do when we're focusing on preschool mastery, we're focusing on, can students recognize or produce the letter names? Of course, we're presenting the sounds, we're presenting the forms, we're teaching them how to make the letters. But for preschool mastery, we're really focusing on letter names. So it can either be when prompted. So can you point to the letter A, and you have, multiple letters, and they can point to the lowercase a or capital A, whatever you prompt them to do. Or you can show them a card and say, what letter is this? And they can produce the name of the letter. That counts as mastery, okay? This student mastery sheet is something we created just to help you keep track of what letters students have mastered and not mastered. We consider 3 times produce or recognize without modeling first to be criteria for mastery. So on this sheet, and again, these are available for download in an editable Word document, so you can just put your student names in there. So we have first capital letter T. Were they able to identify it or name it without prompting? If they were, I'm either going to color that box in or put a check mark. Once they've done it 3 times, we consider that a mastered letter. And then we just separate out, like, so the lowercase t is separate. The O, we do not have 2 columns for that because they're similar forms, and just like that. So there's 4 letters per page, because after 4 letters, we really want to stop and check. I want to say, okay, which students have mastered all of the letters I've presented in my first 4 lessons? So when I stop and I check and I look at this data, I really want to figure out, okay, which students did not master T, O, C, and M? And once I figure out those students, I'm going to move on to my grouping sheet. So, I already said that. Okay, so there's also a group lesson progress form to use for when you're working in small groups. As a teacher in the classroom, I would pull 6 small groups a day, and I could not remember who was doing what. So I needed a way to track my data and keep track of who got what lesson when, because no matter how much I wanted to say, oh, I worked on this letter with all kids, that's not how it works, right? Everybody ends up on different paces. So what I would do is, for each of your groups, again, this sheet is available for download. You're going to put your group in here and then just say, I've worked on lesson 1, which was letter T, and just put the date or, anything that tells you we did this lesson together. So then I have lesson 1A, which is a review of letter T. If I didn't do that with group 1, I'm not going to mark it. So how this is helpful is that when I have a student who has not reached mastery, I can look at their group and say, did we do all the review lessons? Because that's where I'm going to start. If I have students who did not master these letters and they didn't do any of the review lessons, then I know I need to go back and do the review lessons. That's where I'm going to start with this student. But if I have students who got all the review lessons, who were at school, right? They weren't absent for all these this small group time, then I need to say, okay, what do I do next? If they've already received all these lessons. So if they haven't received the lessons, that's where we start first. And again, we have flexible grouping. These students can move around. You can switch your groups after the first 4 letters have been introduced to say, oh, these students still don't know T. We're going to go back and review T. Okay. But if I've already introduced all of these lessons, we've already done all the review, what can I do next? So when we need to support students who need this extra practice, we have the review lessons built in, we have the practice and play lessons built in, but if that is not enough, we have playful interventions. So how this fits into the curriculum, oh, sorry, I don't know why that's over here, but the playful interventions are intervention materials that can be done in addition to alphabetics. So students who are really struggling to really solidify mastery of these letter names. Playful interventions are fun, they're engaging, they're self-correcting activities. So students are really focusing on letter names when they're engaging with this material, and they're also only practicing the letter names that they need. So if I'm like, okay, this student really needs to master letter Z, I will include letter Z and then maybe one other letter just for differentiation. And so they can distinguish between the 2 letters. If more than a few students are needing playful interventions, then we have to go back and look at our instruction and say, okay, maybe we need to do a whole class review of this letter or something else. This should not be an intervention for all students. You should only have a few students who need this type of instruction, because you're not going to be able to meet with every student to engage in these activities, okay? Groups should be very small, 1 to 2 students, and it should be something fun, and students should be invited to play with these fun, exciting new materials. So these are not materials that are sitting out all the time. They're kind of in a fancy box on a shelf, so that when you're like, oh, I have this fun new game, do you want to play with me? They're like, oh, yes, please, I would love to play this game with you, okay? So we really want to keep these special, exciting, like activities that only, certain kids get to play with. So the first 3 that we have here are the construction vehicles and pebbles, the squishies and the beds, and the bowls, scoops, and stones. So basically for the first activity, students are driving the letter name to the dirt pile or the pond. And as they're driving that vehicle, they're saying the name, and then they dump the rocks to the matching letter. For putting the squishies to bed, they have these little squishies that every preschooler loves. And then they have beds that have the letter name, so they have to match the letter on the squishy with the letter in the bed. And we're just really encouraging them to say the name as much as possible. And then the last activity is the star bowls, and they have to scoop up the letters and then drop them in the correct corresponding star bowl and say the name as much as possible. Again, we're really focusing on letter names, repetition over and over and over again. Okay.
Can I interrupt you there, Maria,
yes,
before we move on to the very end? I'm so sorry.
I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just so excited. I just wanted to share that this is a piece that we're still developing. And like Maria said, we really want this to be novel and fun and engaging. So we're actually taking the approach of having 3 different games for each of the 4 letters that are introduced. So these are the 3 games that we created for the first 4 letters, TOCM. And then for the next 4, we have another set of games that we're just about to put out there onto the website for you to use. So those are for A, S, H, and Z, and all of those have like a cooking theme with them. So that is going to be up on the website very shortly. And then after that, for the next 4 letters, we'll have a different kind of theme and different kind of set of activities there. So we're really working to produce some things that are already kind of put together for you, or the ideas at least are put together for you, so that you can really keep these fun and engaging for your students.
Thank you, Rosie. Okay, so again, on the website, readingscience.org, you can download, I just referenced the curriculum guide again, because all of the information about alphabetics and how to incorporate this in your small groups is included in the curriculum guide. You can also download the alphabetics books, which has all the scripting and the student materials. You can download the student mastery sheet, the group lesson progress sheet. There's all kinds of stuff available for you on there. If there's something you cannot find, you can email Rosie. She is the contact for Project Ready, and her name and address is on the website as well. So I really want to respect your time. I know it's Saturday morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate that you are interested in including this for your students in your classroom. If you need anything, please reach out and have a lovely weekend.